Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to talk about the physiology of menstrual cycle in women. So, menstruation is the visible manifestation of cyclic physiologic uterine bleeding due to shedding of endometrium following invisible interplay of hormones, mainly through hypothalamo-pituitary ovarian axis. For the menstruation to occur, the axis, that is hypothalamo, pituitary and ovarian axis, must be actively coordinated. Endometrium must be responsive to ovarian hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone, and the outflow tract must be patent. If we talk about the anatomical aspect, the first menstruation is called menarche, that occurs between 11 to 15 years with a mean of 13 years. Once the menstruation starts, it continues cyclically, intervals of 21 to 35 days with a mean of 28 days. Nearly 70% of total menstrual blood loss occurs in first 2 days. Now, as shown in the diagrams, this is a sectional view of the ovary. In this video, we will be talking about the follicular growth and atresia, germ cells, their origin, multiplication, maturation, primary follicles, morphology of the oocytes, menstrual cycle, or which is ovarian cycle, recruitment of group of follicles, that is preantral phase where it is not converted into antrum, then corpus luteum and its 4 stages, follicular atresia and endometrial cycle. In this part 1 we will be talking about this much, and in part 2 in another video. So first is follicular growth and atresia. In this we will talk about germ cells, primordial follicles, cyclic menstruation of follicles, which is ovarian cycle, which is divided into ovulation, and then what happens to corpus luteum, and then the follicular atresia. First of all, germ cells, understanding their origin. So they migrate from the endoderm of the yolk sac at gut at 5th or 6th week of gestation. Then after this, they migrate via dorsal mesentery of hindgut to the genital ridge. Multiplication, their origin we have talked about. Now what about the multiplication of the germ cells? Then they go under rapid mitotic division. This creates 7 millions of oocytes in 20 weeks. Then majority of the oogonia in the 7 months of gestation goes under 2 processes. First they do divisions, and second some go under the first phase of meiotic divisions, which is then after meiotic division is known as the primary oocyte, and if it is surrounded by stroma cells then it is known as the primordial follicles. Now this primary oocyte, what happens to this? This continues to grow in the prophase stages, which is leptotene, zygotene, pachytene and diplotene. Then it gets arrested at diplotene stage, and in primary oocyte 2 things happen. First is continues to grow, and second some becomes atretic. Now what happens at this stage? The attressed one is gone, but the arrested one at the diplotene stages goes until ovulation. Now we have talked about origin, multiplication, and now what is the maturation? Reduction of number of chromosomes to the half, that occurs due to Alice surge in mid-cycle. Resumption of meiosis 1 occurs in the when there is Allet surge in the cycle of 28 days. Then primary gets converted into secondary with the production of 1 polar body. Now what is primordial follicle, which we have talked about? That surround primary oocyte, when it gets surrounded by flat cells, it is known as the primordial follicle. So as you can see here in this image, this is the pregranulosa cell, and then it gets converted into granulosa cells. Now the third point, what is the morphology of the oocyte? So as you can see here in the image, primary oocyte, it gets coated by the zona pallida and get converted into secondary follicle, and with the theca cell layers and the granulosa cells and antrum conversion, this gets converted into tertiary or graphene follicle. Yeah, graphene follicle, understanding this, then they have membranes, theca interna and externa, membrana granulosa cells, antrum, corona radiata, zona pellucida, and cumulus ophorus. This is the parts of graphene follicles that is important to be learned. The outer envelope is the zona pellucida, and radially arranged is with the corona radiata. Cytoplasm of this is called vitellus, which is lined by vitelline membrane. So the space between the vitelline membrane and the zona pellucida is known as the pre-vitelline space. So this is the nucleus of the tertiary graphene follicle. Understanding the first polar body, what happens to the first polar body is at ovulation, and the second polar body is released when it gets fertilized. At fertilization and at ovulation, one polar body is released. So total of 2 polar bodies released in the menstrual cycle. Now the menstrual and the ovarian cycle, understanding the development and maturation of follicles and formation of corpus luteum happens in the ovarian cycle. And see, development, maturation and ovulation of follicles and formation and degeneration of corpus luteum, this all occurs in 4 weeks. Ovarian cycle consists of 4 stages, that is recruitment of follicles. First of all, the selection is done, and the selection of dominant follicles is done so as to promote the pregnancy. Maturation, ovulation, and then corpus luteus is formed. Then this corpus luteum is undergone fate of demise of corpus luteum. Recruitment of follicle is done on the basis of some hormones. The good one is selected. The cells adjacent to ovum are arranged radially, which is the corona radiata, which is important in deciding the fertilization. Ovulation. Cumulus in the graphene follicles gets detached, and the ovum and the corona radiata is released, and it floats in the lacer folliculi. The cumulus escapes as a result because it is detached, and the causes is the LH surge and FSH rise during the endocrinal period, and stretching factors, contraction factors of micromuscles during the menstruation. LH surge, it does the reduction of oocyte and luteinization of granulosa, synthesis of prostaglandins. This is important work of LH, that is reduction of oocyte, luteinization and synthesis of prostaglandins, and FSH is responsible for the production of plasmin hormone, which helps in lysis of follicles, walls of follicles. What happens as a result of ovulation, as a result of all these process, follicles releases ovary and corpus luteum is formed, ovum is degenerated, and in case there is fertilization occurs, it gets matured, obviously gets converted into embryo and then fetus. And yes, corpus luteum, what happens to this? It undergoes 4 stages of degeneration. First is the proliferation, vascularization, third is the maturation, fourth is the regression. First of all, corpus luteum proliferates. It produces hormones important for the maintenance of the endometrium. In case of fertilization, cells are called granulosa lutein cells. In vascularization, more capillaries are added and blood vessels are added, which is accompanied by the lymphatics and fibroblasts. Third is the maturation of corpus luteum. In case there is fertilization, then it grows, otherwise it undergoes the hypertrophy of theca cells, and then this is known as the paralutein cells. That's giving it the distinctive yellowish color. Now regression happens to this corpus luteum, deposition of fats and appearance of hyaline cartilages, hyaline tissues in the corpus luteum results in the regression, degeneration of the corpus luteum, which is then known as the corpus albicans, and this regression is due to the withdrawal of LH support. In case there is no fertilization, there is no LH support, no hormonal support, and thus the corpus luteum undergoes regression. Now the endometrial cycle, we will be understanding this in the part 2 of this video. Thank you for watching my channel. Please do like, share, subscribe for more videos.